Welcome back everybody to Mcoc AlBundyRules. So I got the Mangog tutorial for you, how to use Mangog. So before the tutorial starts, I always like to give a quick little tidbit on what they can do, showing you a little bit. He has some very underrated damage you're going to see. I've heard people say he hits like a wet noodle. I say they weren't using him correctly, which can happen, or they weren't using him with suicides. This champ is really built for suicide masteries, and we're going to see why, to include even reduced recoil damage, which I think is the first for champs. So, we're going to show a little bit of what he's doing. He's got some amazing utility. There's a ton of stuff he can do. You're going to see a few things I'm doing between charging my heavies. You're going to see the colors changing on the charge. And you're going to see how it goes closer to green, the better. You can get Furies when you actually take a hit, but you get some of the regeneration back with Awakening when you take a hit. So it's a very different playstyle, so I can understand why he's got mixed reviews, but he's actually really good. I'm enjoying him a lot. I could see him being a good counter for a lot of stuff. So starting off with the always active, he's always armor break and bleed effects. He has a lot more immunities, but I'll get more into that. He has a different type of combat rate. It goes up 40%. I'm saying to 40%, but it goes up to 2 bars of power little by little. You can increase it by charging heavies too. So that's some of what is always active. As we see there, we do see the immunity on the bleed. We saw immunity on armor break as well. I'll talk more about his other immunities later. You take a hit when the unstoppable. You see how I took a hit when unstoppable to get that Fury. With Awakening, you get some of the regeneration back, so you lose very little damage when you take that hit on purpose. So that is one of the ways to get his power up. It takes a certain style to really get his attack up. Taking a hit is one way. Said you lose very little health with the Awakening. So immune to the armor, break debuffs, and look at the power rate there. You see how it's continuously going up? It keeps going up by 2%. Again, like I said, if you want to increase it, you need to go even faster. All you have to do is charge heavies. When you have the when you have it going, and well, at least there's a way to do it. I'll show a little bit more about that coming up. Here on the special one, this can give you some great extra immunities between shock and incinerate, frostbite, as well as all the energized one. There's 4 different ones right there. You see the timer going on up over there. And so if you use this S1 correctly in the cold snap immunity, so if you use that correctly, you can get some great immunities. 4 extra immunities with that S1, one enraged. So Hatred of a Billion, so 10 stacks. The more stacks you get, the more damage you can get. You can, I'll show a little bit about nullifying buffs. You can really build them up on buff heavy champs. He really shines, like a lot of mystics on buff heavy champs, but in a very different way than a lot of other mystics do. So that's some of seeing what he can do here. You've seen how I'm building up these hatreds there. The big thing is get up to 10, and then you want to do a special. Could be a special 1, 2, or 3 in order to get the enrage going. And then from there, if you don't play well or don't know how to use them, it's going to go away very quickly. If you know how to use them, you can keep it going on. I've kept the enrage going on for 3-4 minutes easily. But those are usually more buff heavy ways or very aggressive playstyle. So enraged. So once you activate the special after 10 stacks of hatred, you get enraged going on. It's technically 8 seconds. We'll see it took a while before it even activated there because of how I was playing. So if you keep doing anytime an enrage, anytime a hatred will come up, that pauses the enrage timer for 3 seconds. So if you keep doing 5-hit combos very quickly, you can keep pausing that. Another way is on buff heavy champs. If you keep staggering, their champs are on the buff heavy nodes, that's going to keep pausing. You see how it keeps pausing? That's because this is a buff heavy node, so I keep staggering. I have 11 stack staggers right there, and the timer is still going. Like I said, on some of these champs or nodes, I've kept the enrage going on for several minutes with very little effort actually. So 5-hit combos or nullify those buffs works very well. And again, we're still on that timer right there, how it has stuck, and you saw not even good play. You saw me taking some hits. You saw all kinds of stuff going on. It was still going on there for that enrage. So people who say the enrage goes away too quick, they're not following some basic strategy to keep it up. After enrage while unstoppable, we want to take a hit. You see I'm charging that. The longer you charge your your heavy while unstoppable. You see how the color's changing? When it gets close to green, the better. If they hit you, you automatically release. You don't have to release it, does it automatically release your heavy. So the longer you hold it before you take that hit, the more damage, the energy damage it's going to do. It's also going to increase your power rate when. So very helpful there. So it takes an unusual playstyle between charging that, between getting those enraged, those hatred up to start the enraged. And I'm going to show some tips on some decent rotations in a bit. So you hold that heavy, increase the energy damage and the power rate. Watching that power rate when enraged, you got to be enraged for the power rate to increase. You see how quick it is going right there. And you saw when I took that hit, I didn't take much damage again because of how he's built. He's built to take a hit. It's only going to be one with the unstoppable, and it just went over into a fury. So I got that fury to get some extra nice damage for a bit. On this special one, you get 2 hatred automatically, and you also get the stagger. So I'm going to talk. You can get a lot of staggers when you're in a rage, but if you're not in a rage, just use the S1 to do staggers if you need it quicker. You see the energy protection when you're enraged and you use the S1. That's how you get those 4 different immunities for those element immunities. The S2 gives some good damage. You see the energy damage. This actually has some really good power control with this when used correctly. You want it as high as possible. You want it as close to the new bar of power on the defender before you activate it. It's because it's going to go down to the nearest bar CC. I was right before the 1 bar. I used it, and it converted that power. I stole that power along the way, and I could do it again as need be. If you have enrage, you also get that done. For the special 3, you nullify up to 10 buffs on the opponent. Up to 10 you nullify. Not only do you nullify them, I'll show you how it actually benefits you as well. So the more buffs they have when you activate the S3, the better. You get the regeneration. You can get a ton of regeneration from this when you see the regeneration. Mangog's going up on there. I'm going to show you where it's not a whole lot of regeneration when they don't have a lot of buffs nullified. Here you see all these buffs. You see about 13, 14 buffs right there. Well, 14 to 13. I did the S3. Watch my regeneration. And when you nullify a lot of buffs, you're going to get a lot of regeneration going on. You see that 83%. Watch after the S3. It also is going to take a while for my timer to start. So you see how his buffs all went away mostly. At least 10 of them, and you saw I went up to 100% health. I gained about 17-18% health very quickly. So here, the empowered by sin, I can gain an extra hatred when the stagger expires, 14% based on sig. The regeneration, incoming hits based on sig, and I can get more attack rate and more critical damage based on hatred again based on sig. So awakening's not mandatory here, but with the awakening and sig, the better. So we saw the low key. There, the synergy, we see a Mangog become enraged, inflict opponent with 5-second suppression. You'll see some of these synergies in the videos popping up. Synergy members, one struck by an energy attack, inflict opponent with a stun debuff for 1.2 seconds. Mangog, while in a rage, all attacks deal a burst of energy equal to 6% of modified attack. And Mangog become immune to nullify. Each time nullify is prevented, gain a non-stacking precision buff, 350% 50 critical for 15 seconds, so that's a good one on those nullify champs. And then we see some more basic critical rating and attack rating increase. This is some pretty decent synergies on Mangog there. So he's got crazy utility and also good underrated damage. So tip 1, he's on buff heavy. You see all these buffs on this Hawkeye right here based on the node. Again, don't think it only has to be buff heavy champs. There's a lot of endgame content, EQ story mode, tons of stuff. There is a ton of buff heavy nodes out there, such as this one. This is just an EQ. You saw the damage I did. You see how I nullified 10 buffs. You see how I healed up to 100% regeneration from that. And you see how my timer hasn't even started yet because of all those nullifies. So in this particular fight, I'm not showing the entire fight. I kept this up. I kept this enraged up, I think, for several minutes on that Hawkeye. Tip 2, build up 10 hatred. Use the S3, charge heavy into your hit. This is a good rotation I like. I like to get up to 10 hatred. If you want to use S1s for stagger on buff heavy champs, you can get there quicker. While I'm running suicides, I try not to use any S1s or S2s with Mangog until I got enraged, and I'll talk about that on the next tip. So I'll just kind of take my time, build up my really 10 5-hit combos. Or of course you can let them do 5-hit combos too, but I don't really recommend that. So do 10 5-hit combos. And once you get up to the 10, I'll use a special. Most of the time, I'll try to go ahead and get the S3. If you needed some power control really bad, you could do an S2 if needed, but I like to do an S3 because this S3 is going to go ahead and activate. Not only is it going to activate the enrage because I got the 10 going on, but it's also going to activate the unstoppable. With the unstoppable, I can activate a theory, so it's kind of a chain effect. So I got the 10, I use the S3 for enrage, that gets me the unstoppable going on. First thing I'm going to do with this stun, because he was enraged, I'm going to charge this heavy as long as I can. Look at the color, change that arrow, and then boom, I went ahead and was able to get that for some good damage. As he hit me, I took very little actual damage, and I was able to get the theory. So tip 3 is use S1 and S2's 1 enrage for bonus effects. Both S1 and S2 get bonus effects, 1 enrage, and you take 50% less recoil. So built for suicides when you use with enrage. So instead of 5% recoil damage, you take 2.5, which is awesome. So energy protection from S1. If you do 1 enraged, and you get a 2-second stun from S2 if you do 1 enraged. So you use which one for the utility you need based on the fight. If you need that utility from immunities, use the S1, 1 enraged. If not damage, go for the S2. Hoping you like this Mangog tutorial. Check out my other tutorials, got a bunch of them. Check out my walkthroughs, all the good stuff, all kinds of good stuff. Don't forget to click on the top left icon and subscribe to Mcoc AlBundyRules. Thanks for watching.